Here we have a couple of things. They're more related than you might think. This is a subwoofer that's unfortunately died, and this is a a dynamic microphone, what's called a dynamic microphone element from a very popular, well-known microphone. And today we're going to talk about how a speaker works. So first we're going to talk about this guy. So we're going to set this guy aside for right now and focused on this kind of dilapidated old woofer. So first we're going to look at some diagrams that I made. So before we tear into the speaker, because it's easier to explain to you how I'm not sure how you should. I think you'll see this the same way I will here. And so what I've drawn here is a diagram of the basics about a speaker. Now, for the speaker, it all starts with the electromagnet here. Now, what I mean by electromagnet is that it's a magnet that's created when you have a coil of wire wrapped many times around some kind of object. In this case, it's usually cardboard on the speaker. And then you apply electricity to it, and it makes electricity. I mean, it makes and creates a magnet. That's how those things in the junkyard pick up cars and dump them into those crushers. So here we have a cross section of this speaker, right? And inside you'll see that eventually that there's a voice coil in there just like this. So if you think about this speaker like this, and if somebody sliced this speaker in half, then this is the diagram that you'll be looking at. Okay? Now, when this speaker is energized by electricity, here's the magnet. Here's a solid magnet, stationary magnet, and then with another coil of wire. And when this is energized, it becomes an electromagnet. And the voltage, now if you don't understand this, this is fine, because we'll look inside the speaker, and it may not be clear to you then, but at least you'll get to see what a speaker looks like inside. And so this goes back and forth on voltage, and it makes the speaker go this way and that way. And so this is in real life, is you'll see a speaker's going, often you'll see a subwoofer go back and forth like this, bang, 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 bang. And that in turn, it creates low pressure areas and high pressure areas. And that is sound. So anytime you have a low pressure followed by a high pressure by a low pressure, it's a variance in the pressure, which that's what our ears work on. And so this is really a pressure device, and it changes the air pressure really fast, so we end up hearing sounds out of it. Okay? Now, oftentimes you'll have a dust cap on the speaker like this, and that just guards dust from getting inside, as you'll see when we look inside, into the into the voice coil area, which you do not want. These areas that I've drawn here, inside here and here, are actually much, much slimmer than I've drawn. I've just drawn this for a basic idea of how it works. So that's it for the big diagram. And if you want more information, you can just pause it and take a look at that. And then here we go, into the speaker. And I brought a few tools along with me, and this is really all you need. Speakers aren't put together so you can't tear them apart. You can tear them apart quite easily. In fact, I'll show you. This speaker has what's called a foam surround. As you see, this looks like kind of a foam. And the adhesive for this, maybe because of weather or heat or something like that, has let go of the inside, the cone area, which this is called the cone. And this foam, actually, you can tear it with your hand, just like I did there, and just peel it right off. So there it is. There's the foam, and that hangs onto the edge of the speaker. Now, in order to take the middle part of the speaker out, the cone, if we look inside here, we see something called a spider. And the spider inside there, unlike a real spider, it hangs onto the cone and centers it around the magnet, so the voice coil never touches the metal inside the speaker, because that would be very bad. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to peel the cone back some. This is a very, very, very heavy cone. Actually, we need to cut this. This is actually the whole entire dust cap for this speaker. We'll have to cut in here really hard. Oh gosh, this is really. Okay, and now see the actual dust cap was actually part of the cone, but here we see the voice coil inside there, and there's the voice coil, and underneath we'll see the wires. So what we need to do now is we need to peel the cone back and cut all the way around the spider. All right, now, well, it still won't come out. So now the reason it won't come out is that the wires that attach the coils to the outside world is for electricity are still attached to the speaker speaker basket. This is called a basket, and it actually is the frame upon which the vibrating speaker is held steady in general. And the magnet, as you see in the back, as you've seen maybe on other speakers, is attached to the frame of the woofer, or the basket as it's called. Now you'll notice that this speaker happens to have two different sets of wires going into the voice coil. There's a reason for that. We're not going into that on this show, but if you want to look up a dual voice coil woofer. In this case, we're just going to treat this as a single voice coil woofer, and it'll work just fine for us. All right. Well, that's not cooperating, so let's get a little bit rough. Oh yeah, that feels good. That feels good. Okay, here we go. Ooh. Okay. And okay, there we go. And you kind of heard how the force I had to use to get that out of there. Now that we have the cone free, you'll see that I can pull it out. And now we see the big mystery of what the voice coil looks like. There it is. There it is. And so you see a coil of wire here. A beautiful copper coil of wire. This is wound many times. It looks like it's wound about 4 times, which is more than usual for a speaker, I think. You might look that up too. They wrap kind of a masking tape around here after they wind the coils very carefully. Masking tape or some kind of a tape is wound around to keep each of the wires going out to here, then out to the amplifier intact. You can see that right there where I'm pointing my finger is the 2 wires coming down. So here's a close-up. I'm not sure if you can see that very well or not, but hopefully you can. It's pretty. And that's what causes, from the late part of the 19th century till now, most speakers are made just like this. Just a cone and a flexible spider and a voice coil with a magnet. Now see, here's the magnet area that the voice coil fits down into, and you'll notice that, yeah, it fits down, still fits down in there. And here's where they attach the magnet. Now the interesting thing about speakers is that the same principle applies to certain kinds of microphones, and those types of microphones are called dynamic microphones. And this is a capsule from a major brand's dynamic microphone, that famous maker. And what you can see here is that you see a very small type of what looks like a speaker. And it is, in a way, except this one's made in the opposite way. It does the opposite of what a speaker does. To a speaker, you apply amperage and voltage and it moves. And to this one, you sound touches this and moves this plastic thing, sending electrical signals, very small electrical signals down these wires, and which is picked up then by another kind of amplifier and is then changed into audible sound by the level is raised by an amplifier where it's, we can hear it, which is kind of what we want from a microphone. So what I'm going to do is to show you that this is very similar to a speaker, just much, much smaller and lighter. I'm going to try to cut this off, and I'll do it the best I can and see if we can take a look inside this. So here's the cutter, and I have to be very, very careful here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this very well. It's so delicate. It's just so delicate. But I will try. I will try. Looks like we got it off. Okay, there now. You may have to, I'm not sure you can see this in the video, but there's really tiny wires right here, right there, okay, and right here. Now the magnet is in here. You can kind of see my steel tweezers being pulled attracted to the magnet there. And here's the voice coil right here. And in this case, it really is a voice coil or an instrument coil. It picks up sound. And here you see this very, very fine, thin speaker. So that's basically the basics of how speakers and dynamic, this is a certain kind of microphone, dynamic microphones work. And if you'd like to ask me any questions,
please do, and I will be happy to answer them. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Thank you very much.